Welcome back. It's 12:18. As you saw earlier, a defiant Mayor Brandon Johnson just announcing his appointees for the Chicago School Board after 7 members resigned on Friday. Paris was in that news conference and is joining us now live. And Paris, wow, that was an incredible announcement by the mayor, and the question and answer afterwards even more dramatic.
Very dramatic, Sylvia. Very contentious between the mayor and reporters. The mayor telling reporters he doesn't think they should be asking some of the questions that they're asking. He is plowing ahead just days after the shocking resignation of his entire hand-picked Board of Education. He said he was going to have 7 new appointees today. There were only 6. This press conference went off the rails before it even started. It was interrupted by a group of protesters who are still outside and behind me right now, as you can hear. They were saying this board is not going to be legit. They don't believe that this is a legitimate board, as he is so quickly moving, despite the requests of 41 of 50 alder people, including some of his allies, saying, slow down. We want to say here. We are very concerned at what is happening here. And he very quickly went through the names of his appointees. So we will go through them as well. They are Olga Bautista, Makila Blaze, Mary Gardner, Reverend Mitchell, Kenna Johnson, Deborah Pope, and Frank Niles Thomas. We're learning a little bit more about some of these appointees. Deborah Pope has been a long-time organizer with the Chicago Teachers Union. And then Makila Blaze, she had been running for the new elected school board coming up. She had surreptitiously, I can say that word, dropped out, leaving a CTU ally, G2 Brown, to run unopposed, leaving many wondering whether there was some backroom deal here cut to put her on this appointed board. A lot of inconsistencies from the mayor as well. He admonished folks many times, saying he has the sole authority to do this, to appoint board members, but then also said he fought for many years to get the new elected school board, which is going to take place in 2025. Very inconsistent statements there. So let's listen to a little bit of what he had to say at this very contentious press conference.
When I ran for mayor, I promised to transform our public education system. I'm a man of my word. And that means bold leadership in a moment that doesn't nibble around the edges and look for incremental gain. Our people in this city are tired of political leaders that want the status quo to nibble around the edges, and then when children don't get what they deserve, they blame the very communities that they've disinvested in. Not on my watch. Status quo, the past mistakes that have left our students behind, we're not doing that. And then the so-called exports, the so-called fiscally responsible stewards are making the same argument when our people wanted to be liberated and emancipated in this country. The argument was you can't free black people because it would be too expensive. They said that it would be fiscally irresponsible for this country to liberate black people. And now you have detractors making the same argument of the Confederacy when it comes to public education in this system. These are the people who package these gimmicks, lied to our people, stole money from our people, refused to pay into the pension system, left the taxpayers with the bill, and for me to fix it. You better listen. But we're going to build a world-class school district, you all. Because the vision of the status quo is to leave our children behind. Fire teachers assistants, fire custodial workers, fire nurses. That is their vision.
So the mayor there balking at some of the critics. Saying that his stewardship right now of CPS has been fiscally irresponsible. Let's catch viewers up on how CPS got to this point. The mayor asked Pedro Martinez, the CEO, to resign amid these tense negotiations with a very politically powerful Chicago Teachers Union. He refused. Then, according to sources telling us at Fox 32 Chicago, the mayor engaged in a very relentless pressure campaign to have the board members fire Pedro Martinez. They refused to do that. Instead, they all resigned en masse on Friday. And now here are some of the names of the new board members that he is proposing for. So that's kind of how we got to this point. The mayor very defiant defiant today, but inconsistent in some of his statements. He wants a new school board to authorize a $300 million short-term high-interest loan to help pay for a budget gap in a new teacher's contract, but he's also admonished, quote-unquote, predatory lending that CPS engaged in the past. He's saying that he only has the authority to support the board members, but he's also talking about how he fought to get an elected school board. A lot of inconsistencies. The mayor not able to settle on a consistent message here today. Sylvia, there's going to be much more to come as we learn more about some of these appointees, and we'll see if City Council steps up some of their opposition. They do not have a role in appointing new school board members, but they have talked about trying to get state law changed so that they do have a role. Sylvia?
And that's what I wanted to ask you about, Paris. Obviously, if you want to get state law changed, that's going to take some time. You said that there were 41 of 50 alderpeople that signed the letter criticizing Mayor Johnson for creating chaos in the CPS and for going ahead and making these appointees' names announced today, despite the fact that they were saying, well, hold on for a minute. Let's sit back and let's look at the picture here and let's decide what we can do next. But the mayor is pushing forward anyway. How is this going to impact what the city council can do, if anything? What comes next? What happens in November? How does that impact all of this? There's a lot going on here.
Well, there's a lot going on, and they do not have a role, as we mentioned, and he's saying he doesn't really care, in so many words, what they're saying. He has the authority to do this. He's going to plow ahead. He says the families of CPS can't wait. This is 41 of 50 city council members, including some of his allies. He's in political peril right now because they don't have a say on this, but they do have a say in his other priorities, a $1 billion budget gap, a new budget that they're going to have to approve. If he's not able to build consensus on that, then the city's going to go forward without approving a new budget. There are lots of things he wants to accomplish that he needs city council, and right now there are only 9 in his corner on this very contentious issue. So politically, it's a perilous situation for him, and we'll see what city council members have to say. We know there's going to be reaction throughout the day. Sylvia?
Yeah, and we know you're covering this story for us, so we look forward to that reaction in your report coming up on the news at 4. Thanks so much, Paris.